Workforce Afternoon. Dave Lawrence with you. And next, to help us wrap up a week of featuring and giving away his new Greatest Hits 30 Years of Rock CD, is a singer, guitarist, and songwriter whose bluesy, in-your-face guitar sound and singing style have made him a legendary figure the world over, certainly putting the state of Delaware on the international music map. It's an honor to welcome to 105.9 the Big Kahuna's airwaves, the great George Thorogood. Aloha, George.
Dave's not here.
How you doing?
I'm good. Aloha, thank you. What a build-up.
You are the man, and certainly worthy of it. I appreciate you being my guest.
Thank you.
Congrats on the collection. Now, how did you come to decide it was time for a 30 Years of Rock compilation?
You know, I didn't even decide it myself. It was about a year ago. I looked at the calendar, and I said it's 2003, and 1973 was the year that the Destroyers played our first gig at the Lane Hall, December 1st, in Newark, Delaware.
Wow.
And, just that alone, and, the ball started rolling, and, Mike Donahue, our manager, got together with Eagle and Capitol, and they put their heads together and say, well, why don't we document this and, put together some tunes and see if people are interested in this. And I said, cool, so great.
And you end up with this collection of outstanding songs, but then you top it off with not only a previously unreleased track from some 93 sessions, but this remix, this 2004 remix that Tom Rothrock did.
Mm-hmm.
And how did he end up? Was that something where he came to you, or you guys came to him? That's really a standout track.
Well, I really didn't have really a lot to do with it. That was more or less Capitol and Donahue and EMI, and those people got together and said, take this song and modernize it, or give it like a shot in the arm or something. And I listened to it, and I said, wow, that's kind of spooky, kind of eerie sounding.
Yeah.
It wasn't my idea, and the harmonica with James Woods and everything gives it a different twist. But it's great to have Bo Diddley. 50 years. I mean, it's a half a century. And, Bo Diddley hit the airwaves with Bo Diddley in 1954, and now it's 2004, and he's still kicking.
I love it the way you take stuff through history like that, and that really is a great segue to where I was going with you.
Cool.
You have a lot of hits and releases through the year that are, in a way, a monster tribute to the heroes of original rock and to blues in general, whether it's John Lee Hooker, Bo Diddley, who we were just talking about, Chuck Berry, Elmore James. Do you see, when you look at the record, that you've really laid out a tribute to these guys with your work, or how do you see the way your passion has ended up bringing guys into the future of that status?
Well, I just kind of picked it up from the people who were ahead of me. I mean, when I was a kid, the people like Jeff Beck and Elvin Bishop and Paul Butterfield, the Rolling Stones, the Animals, they were doing it before me. They were, turning me on to this kind of music. And once I, had a taste of it, I got involved, and I said, wow, this is some great stuff. And, it just felt very natural to me.
And you've made them your own. You've taken a lot of people's songs, and in a way, they've become, your tunes to another generation. Or do you realize that they're, I guess it's kind of, I was reading some of the Tom Rothrock stuff, the guy who did that remix, and he says, in a way, that you brought him to the blues, it was you who brought him to the blues. And it's sort of, it's like you're an educator of the blues.
Well, that's like a an occupational hazard. Sometimes while you're being entertained, you're being educated at the same time, and that's what would happen to me when I went to see all these great groups in the late '60s, early '70s. They were educating me while they were entertaining me, and I'm just following that path.
I mean, just one example of that, George, which I'll give you, which you've got to know, and I'm sure everybody listening who's older at least, or who knows this, would appreciate me saying it. It's like one bourbon, one scotch, one beer. It's a trademark Thorogood tune, and you would be surprised, I bet, George, how many young folks don't know that John Lee Hooker, did that. And I think it's just it's brilliant of you the way you've taken these tunes, like you said, both with that remix, but in general with your entire catalog. You've given them a new life.
Well, those tunes, I sat on those tunes around 1970, 71, and I was going through my record collection, and I said, there's a lot of great songs here people are not aware of, and it would be really cool to put a collection together and put a band together, and get these songs out into the whatever social consciousness or whatever, just the same way the Jay Giles band did, the same way the Stones did,
or Zeppelin, or a lot of those guys.
Exactly. And I was just following in the footsteps of the peers of these rock musicians, and it's very flattering that you would pick up on this.
Well, I pick up on it because, it's interesting also what you just said is really sort of like an answer to if I had asked, how did you decide to make the Destroyers, what was your idea, and you sort of just answered that. I think it's fascinating that you said, wow, there's these great songs, and a lot of people don't know about them, let me make people aware of them, and I think that's really, it is to be commended, and it is like a lot of other artists who did, but you did pick tunes that otherwise people may not have been aware of, so you're to be credited for that. And
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. And something else that I'd be very disappointed later on if I failed to mention this is that I actually have family in the first state, and I've spent a great deal of time there. Do you still live or own property in Delaware?
No, I live on the West Coast.
You live on the West Coast?
Yeah, I grew up in Delaware and moved out years ago.
What part did you grow up in?
Northern Delaware.
Like Wilmington area?
Yes.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
What high school did you go to?
Brandywine.
I went to A.I. DuPont.
Ah.
That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
so few people are from there.
Mm-hmm.
I would just have, I bet you would know. I only have Valerie Bertinelli and Tom Verlaine as the other two Delaware celebrities.
Well,
Who else? Am I missing someone? Because you are obviously the guy, and then there's other people. But is there anyone else that I'm missing?
well, I'm sure there will be somebody somewhere along the line.
So that is it, really. And I knew this guy. My father even has a guy who works for him, Ernie Lundgren.
Oh yeah, I remember Ernie.
You do remember him?
Yeah, bass player.
Yeah, that dude, yeah.
Very good bass player. Good bass player and good singer.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell
yeah.
him you said that. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
We should play a lot of music with him.
When I was a little kid, he used to always, be telling me George stories.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to do a bunch of different things with you. I remember in Boston at WBCN, you came and did a great acoustic in-studio set. I've always been amazed, George, the way wherever you are, whether you're in a club, an arena, in a radio studio, you have a way of just sort of attaching the song to the moment. Where there's no line for you when you write or when you work on songs, between an acoustic and electric.
Well, if it's a line, it's a fine line. Some songs are meant to be, dealt with acoustic guitar, and some are meant to be with electric. The song dictates that, not me.
You do have a way of sort of putting the song, whatever the tune is, there's a way you have of interpreting it at the moment. And I'm just curious, like when you're sitting around on your own at home, messing around with your guitar, is it an electric thing that you're doing, or are you sitting with an acoustic?
No, if I have a guitar at home, the neighbors complain. It's close, I don't have any amplifiers. A little acoustic guitar.
Nice.
Nice.
And one more question before we let you go, because I really do appreciate your time to get a celebrity like yourself to speak with us out here in Honolulu. Do you have any memories or experiences here in the Aloha State?
Oh yeah, man, Hawaii. I remember watching the World Series in 1981. And then flying there on the 50-50 tour and starting the tour and then landing and then running up to the hotel room and seeing Fernando strike out Lou Piniella for the last out of the 1981 World Series. The first game that the Dodgers won, they lost the first two, and the first game they won, it was a great performance. We were watching it on the plane, and then the reception went out, and we didn't know what happened, and the plane landed. We got out and got it in the cab and put it on, and then we ran out, and I saw the very, very last pitch he threw. So it was great.
Wow, what a clear memory of it as well. A big mahalo to the legendary George Thorogood for taking time to be with us here. His new CD, Greatest Hits 30 Years of Rock, is out now, and a pleasure to have you on 105.9 The Big Kahuna.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Shock your browser or whatever you say.
Shaka.
You're right. Cool. Hi, this is George Thorogood. You're rocking with the man, Dave Lawrence, on the Workforce Afternoon.